webinar. This is organized by AAPI, which is American Association of Physicians of Indian Origin, which has about 15,000 dues-paying licensed practicing physicians of Indian origin in USA. And every seventh patient in the country is treated by an Indian doctor, which is a staggering statistic. And AAPI does a lot of educational programs in the US as well as in India. And we have done three big seminars in India this past months. And now we wanted to do something for high school and college students who are aspiring doctors. So this has never been done by AAPI, but there is a huge need because people need mentorship. If they have doctors in the family, they get some mentorship, but those especially who don't have doctors in the family, they definitely need some guidance. So keeping that in mind, we planned to do this a couple of months ago, and then we asked all the panelists who graciously agreed to participate in this to educate all the pre-med as well as high school students what it takes to be a doctor. So we have a good agenda with us today, and we have Dr. Himanshu Pandya, who has been instrumental in mentoring a lot of people. And he is in New York, he's an internist, and he has done many mentorship programs through AAPI, especially for medical students, for residencies and things like that. Also for pre-med and high school students through other organizations. And this is the first ever through AAPI, and he graciously agreed to do this. So, and this is recorded, and also we put it on the website. If you have any questions, you can ask in the chat box or refer to the video, which will be posted on aapiusa.org, which is AAPI's website. So Dr. Himanshu Pandya is actually, a very well respected physician in New York. He's a member of AAPI QLI, and he has served on a lot of committees in AAPI, and he graciously agreed to put this together and invite all the panelists and everybody. I welcome Dr. Himanshu Pandya to speak on action plan for high school and pre-med students for BS, MD, BSDO programs. Dr. Himanshu Pandya.
Thank you, Dr. Katula, and thank you all the mentors for joining this morning, and thank you all the participants. We started with the AAPI programs for the international medical graduates. 3 years ago, I was in one of the regional conference, nothing related to AAPI, completely different, was a Gujarati association's meeting. And then several parents came to me and they asked me, that I know you are doing for international medical graduates, but we do not have any background in the medical. And how can you help us? Can you come up with the plan? Can you do some things? And AAPI. And then I started doing the other organization. But then I was talking to Satish Bhai. We decided, let's go for that. Samir Bhai came in, and then we all agreed, and we decided that let's do the seminar for the pre-med students, high school and pre-med. Now, every time we start with the high school students, I get more questions from parents than students. And this is very common. Like, what should we do? He wants to go into the medical. So then I ask him, the parents, I said that, did you speak to the student or your son or daughter? What is his interest? So then we came up with the plan. I said that, why don't we make it very simple, very effective, that everybody understands? And this seminar is not only for the students, even parents can join and they can listen to us, because I have some instruction for parents also. So for the preparation in the high school, there are 3 components. When you are planning to go into the medical, first you have to decide whether you are suitable to the medicine or you have an interest going into the medical career. And the reason for that, because once you decide, it requires a lot of dedication and a lot of hard work. Also, some of the students probably, or your friends might graduate from different field, and they might be working while you are still doing residency, working 24/7. So you still need to understand the commitment is not for 3 years, 4 years, or 6 years. Sometimes it can go up to 12 years, because you do BS 4 years, 4 years of medical school. You might take a 1 year break, so it's 9 years. Then you go for residency, 3 years, 12 years, and you go for fellowship, probably another 2, 3 years. So it becomes total 15 years of package after the high school. So you need to be mentally prepared. And going into the medical, it's not 100-meter run, it's a marathon. You need to constantly run. So that's a very, very important. Before you decide about this field, you have to commit yourself for minimum 12 to 15 years, because you are going to study, and that will affect your social life, personal life, and sometimes you will feel that you are overwhelmed. So before even we go into that direction, you have to be mentally prepared. First thing, it's a marathon, and second thing, it's a commitment. Now I'm ready to go for medicine or medical field. What should I do? So there are 3 pillars I would concentrate on that. I'm just sharing the idea from the so many program directors or the uh, counselors, what they are looking for that. They look at 3 things very carefully. First, academic. Second thing is professional. And third thing is a personal achievements. Academic comes in the high school. They will look at that first, your AP classes. AP classes, now the common question comes, how many AP classes should I take it? I tell all the high school students, you can take as many as, but it should not affect your GPA, because GPA is a #1 factor in the college application and college selection process. Because some of the colleges are not considering SAT scores, some of the colleges are considering, but GPA should be #1. If I have to select only 2 things for good college, first GPA, and second thing I would go for SAT or ACT score. Now SAT and ACT score, make sure any exam, any standardized exam, you should take with your full efforts. You cannot just go, oh, let me just take it, I will repeat it. No. Whenever, even if you are, you will take it second time, please try, do your best to get it done in probably first attempt, but make sure you get good score. After that, the third thing comes is your AP classes. But again, I said that AP classes, you take it again and again, just maintain your GPA. Do not take too many AP classes because my friend is taking 8, my other friend is taking 9. Please do not do that one. If you are going for BSMD program, some colleges, the straight program, and I'll explain to you quickly, require that you should take certain AP classes, AP courses. For example, one will require AP chemistry. So make sure if you are planning to go in the BSMD or BSDO, try to find out the colleges in your state. That's the first thing you should do, because in state you have more chances or better chances than out of the state, because the way they are looking at everything. Because out of the state might take very few candidates from other state. This is how the New York is different, but we have noticed from other states. When you decide you want to go to the BSMD, it's again, I said that, be ready for 12 to 15 years commitment. Once you decide and you are done with your AP courses, AP classes, when you enter into the BSMD program, you just have to remember one thing. Most of the colleges for the BSMD, the BS actually will be community college, or probably they might have association with something, they will have good medical school. So if you are going to BSMD means It's a tougher decision than even your marriage. The reason, because if you come out after 4 years, you will be graduating from the community college, even if with a good score. So make sure when you enter, you complete BSMD or BSDO. When you're applying for BSMD, and if you feel that you have all the credentialing and you are going to get 3 colleges that you have in your mind, think about safety. What is the safety? Safety means even if you have a good score, you have everything right. Please apply to certain colleges in case if you do not get it into this program, for example, BSMD or BSDO, you can get into certain community college or even certain programs that those are less competitive. Because I have seen so many times people, actually students who have a score 1550 or above in the SAT, they did not get into the BSMD or programs. So I tell them that BSDO require little less SAT score compared to BSMD, but please apply it because you have a more chances to get into that. Regarding the MCAT, now I'll come to quickly. So my topic is each one require like at least 1 hour discussion, but I'm just trying to go quickly. MCAT is a very tough exam for graduate. Everybody knows that. And if you do not believe, just ask anybody who is taking it. Make sure you do full preparation. If you need the help, get the help from the classes or whatever you think appropriate. Talk to your friends and please try to get this one. This is very, very important. And MCAT, day by day, it's getting difficult as far as I'm getting feedback from a lot of students. When you are looking at the professional is a important thing, resume. When you apply for the college, make sure your resume should not be more than 2 pages. The reason is that as far as I had a discussion with so many people involved in this selection process, they told us after 2 pages, they lose the interest. They would not go to page 3rd. So please make sure resume should be 2 pages. Second thing, common application form. When you write something in common application form for whatever extra activities, please do not put it same thing in the resume. Try to put all things distributed. So that's how they will get all the information. And as a parents, when students are applying, they should make sure before they submit the application, they should look at the application carefully. So many times students, because of the hurry, because of they are submitting at middle of the night, they are missing certain information and they would not know. And then somehow if it's a deadline, they will get the rejected from this one. Important thing about the personal strategy is a time management. Please learn for the time management very carefully. Volunteer. Try to get volunteers in the community hospital, local hospitals. Find the mentor. If you do not have anybody in the family background with the medical, please reach out to any AAPI local chapters or anybody, reach out to them. You get all the information on website. Just talk to them. You just need something and somebody can help them. And there are a lot of volunteers, they can even teach you. Last thing I would tell you, there is something called spike method. If you do a lot of activities during this time, they want to make sure you are expert in one thing. So academic, score, your personal statement, everything is good, but this is very important. Like, for example, whatever you like, make sure you do well for 2 years, 3 years, excel in this one. So they want to see that something, it's called spike method for college. If you search it, you will be able to get it. It will have a lot of information. And I think I would stop here, but thank you so much. We have so many things, but I said it in the chat also, lot of information for the colleges. If first post, you will see that. Thank you. Okay, and now I'm going to introduce Dr. Santan Chumo, and he's going to speak about MD versus DO, and he is a musculoskeletal radiologist from Mansfield, Ohio, and he is also graduate of College of Osteopathic Medicine, Nova Southern University, Florida. Thank you, Dr. Thum.
So somebody is sharing their screen. Can you stop that? I don't know who is doing that. Dr. Vijaya, can you stop this yeah, screen sharing? Please don't allow anybody to screen share, only the panelists. So Dr. Tumo, you want to go ahead and speak? Please unmute yourself. Yeah, Vijay, can you unmute Dr. Thumo? Ms. Vijay?
Yeah, Dr.
Yeah, Dr. Shantan Thumo needs to be unmuted. So could you do that?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
All right.
Yeah.
Hello, everyone. Dr. Kutla, Dr. Pandya, thank you for having me. My name is Shantan Tumu. I'm an osteopathic physician. I practice in radiology. I live in Columbus, Ohio, part of a large private practice group. I work mainly in Mansfield, also work in Columbus. So, this is kind of a big topic, DO versus MD. I guess I just want to start to kind of share my experience. So in college, I was working hard, the pre-med stress of, getting good grades, MCAT scores. I had good grades, but my MCAT scores weren't quite there. So what I decided to do is to go to grad school. So I got a post-bachelorate degree. I got accepted into an MS anatomy program at Ohio State University. It improved my CV. Took the MCAT again. I did better, but I didn't do as well as I should to be kind of considered for the allopathic program. So at that time, I considered the osteopathic programs. During that time, when I was in college, the osteopathic profession was becoming more mainstream. So I started to get more exposure to it. So when I looked into it more, I realized they provide the same education as allopathic schools. Also, they have like a kind of a philosophy of treating the whole body as a more of a holistic approach. So they really concentrate on physical examination skills and kind of connecting everything together. So they really had like a very big focus on anatomy, function, how to diagnose, and then also how to treat. So you're using your hands quite a bit. So that was very fascinating for me. And being in anatomy, I love that. So having that background, I applied to both allopathic and osteopathic schools. Um, I got a lot of acceptances from the osteopathic schools and not so much in the allopathic schools. So I went ahead. I got many interviews in the osteopathic program, and then I chose to go to Nova Southeastern for medical school. So having a master's degree in anatomy, my coursework was basically with Ohio State medical and dental students. So during my education at Nova, I realized this is all the same. What I was learning at Ohio State and DO school is basically the same, but I'm learning more. So I was very, very, very happy with my education. So during that time, there was also there's two matches, the DO match and the MD match. With my strong love for anatomy, I want to pursue a career in radiology. So what I decided to do is apply both for the allopathic and the osteopathic residencies. I also took both exams. There's a COMEX exam, which is for medical license for the DO students, and then there's the USMLE, which is medical license for the allopathic students. So I took both, did well on both, applied to both the MD and DO matches, and fortunately, I got accepted into radiology. So during that time, osteopaths were starting to become more mainstream in the country and get more accepted into specialties. So, after that time, it didn't, my education, my background, DO and MD, I didn't really feel like it was really discriminated upon. upon, but I felt it made me stronger. I developed relationships with other DOs across the country, and when you meet another DO, like you feel like this connection. So I guess I'm very satisfied with my education. When I look back now, like things have changed. There is no longer a DO and MD residency program. Now it is combined. You still take your own, DO licensing comics exam and the USMLE licensing exam, but the residency, when you apply for residency, they look at both, and more of the program directors are more they're more, I guess, knowledgeable on how to interpret the DO scores and things like that. So I think the opportunity has increased. Before, maybe in the 90s and early 2000s, it was thought that, if you're a DO, you'd be lucky, to maybe get some of the specialties. But now, like DOs are getting into all the specialties. My group in radiology at Columbus, more of the people we hire are DOs. So I feel like the playing field has leveled. For students looking for medical education, I strongly recommend it. The right now, I think the MCAT scores are becoming a little bit comparable, maybe a little bit less than the allopathic schools. But other than that, I think everything is pretty much similar. You get another facet of this osteopathic manipulative treatment, which is, I think, very helpful for the primary care physicians and surgery, general surgery specialty and radiology, because you get that background in anatomy. So I'll just stop there. I can probably go on for a while. If anyone has any questions, we can answer them now or later.
Thank you, Dr. Tumu. That was very valuable information. So if you have any questions, please go ahead and put it in the chat box. And, we just disabled the chat, but I think we can enable after each, speaker speaks, so that at least we have questions. And in the meantime, the panelists can answer the questions. We removed some inappropriate people. Hopefully there won't be any more like that. But yeah, I think we can enable the chat for a few minutes for Dr. Tumu if somebody has questions related to that. In the meantime, we can go ahead and have the next speaker speak to save time. So, and I can introduce Dr. Samir Pancholi, who is an impeccable cardiologist from Scranton, Pennsylvania. And he has been mentoring hundreds and hundreds of students and residents, fellows, and he serves as the founding program director of the fellowship program in cardiovascular diseases at the Wright Center for Graduate Medical Education, as a professor of medicine at the Geisinger Commonwealth School of Medicine, and as director of interventional cardiology at the Veterans Administration Hospital in Wilkes-Barre, Pennsylvania. So he's a great mentor, and he was there in New Jersey recently to mentor the medical students, the residents and fellows, and even pre-med students, and he did an excellent job. And Dr. Samir Pancholi, please take over.
Thank you, Dr. Katula, for a very kind introduction. I'm going to share my screen, and let's see, right here. So my task this morning is to talk about research. Whenever you have one word title, it's always dangerous. But let's, research for a high school student or a pre-med student even is quite a far reach. Most kids, as I call them, are overwhelmed already. And so let me break it down into a few simple questions. Let's first talk about why do research. Most people would agree that grades, SAT scores, etc., are good enough. But research is one of the distinguishing features. If you have an application that has all the other bells and whistles, which are quite universal nowadays, most aspiring applicants come up with those numbers before they apply anyway. But this is a distinguishing feature. It's a demonstration of the ability to multitask. If you look at the psychology of the interviewer, the admissions committee, or whoever it might be, program director, they are looking for the smartest of the smart people to join them for a straightforward, very selfish reason. They don't want to invest a multiple-fold effort in training you as a trainee. And so the demonstration that you can multitask is extremely attractive to all of us when we interview these applicants. Research plus a high GPA / SAT, ACT is a lot more attractive than just GPA plus SAT, ACT. It's also clearly demonstrating your ability to learn advanced concepts which are not expected or taught at the level of high school and even sometimes at the level of undergraduate. So this gives you a very clear distinction that you can learn advanced concepts. It also is a very useful anchor or topic of conversation during your interview. If you have a line of research on your resume, you can guarantee that the interviewing committee will look at it and ask you questions about it. And we'll talk about how this is good, but could also become a problem sometimes. So these are the whys for the reasons why one should engage in doing research, even at high school level and definitely at pre-med level. What to research? That's a big problem. People come to me and say, well, my kid wants to go to medical school and wants to go to a good pre-med program. Can you help him with research, or her, and what to research? The most important message is to pick a topic which is commensurate with your level of education, maybe just 1 or 2 standard deviations out, not completely crazy complicated. So start with a little survey in your community, a lab at school, microbiology or chemistry, etc. Start with that and demonstrate your ability and engaging yourself and training your brain to do out-of-the-box things. Simple topic. Don't go investigating the DNA of a Drosophila fly in 11th grade to demonstrate that you are doing research. Even though that's very good science, it's probably not commensurate with your level of education. Avoid complex, highly specialized projects. Those, like I said, might actually expose that you were just given something that you did not work at. The project should allow you to be a complete immersion type of an experience from your end. So allow you to collect data, analyze results, be the whole thing, write medically, etc. So I think, those are very, very important aspects of when you engage into research. If somebody is saying, don't worry, I'll put your name on it, you go do what you have to do, it's probably going to hurt you eventually in some shape or form. Participate, if you have a choice, in those endeavors where you are a major or essential part of the team. And preferably do something that is standalone. And by that, what I mean is not just a research elective or a track offered by your school. Obviously, those are very useful to do, but you should also try to, in your summers or vacations, do something that's very useful. How to do research, that's an important thing. So this is probably the most important thing. The one message, if out of this 10-minute conversation, if it goes through to you, is learn research skills. It does not matter if you land a publication or an abstract or whatever. You need to learn how to do research. That means working on concepts, although we don't expect you to come up with ideas. That's the job of your mentors, but you should know how to execute that idea and analyze the data, and medical or whatever other field you are doing research in, writing properly and professionally in that. So that in the background, if you can see what the metadata is trying to say, is you need to learn mathematics, biostatistics, and also English with medical writing, in this case, if you're a pre-med applicant. The most important determinant of success is to take advanced courses, especially in statistics. If your school offers AP statistics, after you take AP algebra, etc., definitely take AP statistics. This will make all the language and the concepts of biostatistics very natural for you by the time you complete it, and it will allow you to then seamlessly learn more. I've seen many children succeed if they do this and others not. Also, once you've done the statistics as your AP statistics as your course and you passed it, learn a software. It could be Excel, which is universally available, or some of the other expensive ones like SPSS, Stata, etc. Do not learn the software before you learn statistics because it'll confuse you and make you a cog in the wheel. So please go in this order. Choose a research mentor if you have a choice, who is productive, somebody who can give you ideas, who doesn't expect you to come up with something and then just be there for the ride. The job of the mentor is to see the holes out there and plug them with investigative work. So they should be giving you the idea. In high school summers, learn the analysis piece of research. There are courses I see advertised by the Hindu Temple Society, for example, in our Northeastern corridor. In Bridgewater, I see many courses advertised. You can learn this on the internet. YouTube has tremendous content which will teach you all this if you have the basis of math and statistics from your high school courses. Data collection is obviously essential, and you can initiate this or use your shadowing experience when you go to doctor's offices. Out of all the 5 or 6 shadowings that you probably will do or more, you will find 1 or 2 of them who have organized data, electronic data that can be mined. And so data collection is important. Survey on local populations. These are the some ideas on how a high school student can start doing research. You can survey by checking blood pressures on people coming to your temple or church or your library, and then give some instruction and see if in 3 months they lose weight and their blood pressures go down, etc. These are simple ideas of projects, very commensurate with a high school level person who can then brag about it in their interview. It doesn't have to be published in the New England Journal of Medicine. It just needs a presence in your demonstration that you are above and beyond the average applicants. This is a very important topic, which is why I highlighted it in red. Develop a very deep and full understanding of your project. When you go to interview, your line of research project on your resume is going to be the one that everybody focuses on quite heavily on that. So you should know your project. If you are one of those people who is a part of a 10-member team and everybody was nice to you and got your name on the project, that is going to work against you. So please understand your project. Keep an eye out for programs organized by the community, AAPI being one. It's amazing. When to research? Never too early to start. Start as early as you can. In my experience, the kids who have taken honors algebra, after that, they become introduced to some math concepts and analysis, and I teach them more, and I encourage them to learn by themselves. Use your free time to get yourself these skills. So in summary, learn research skills more than just get a line from somebody with your name on it. And the most important skill which distinguishes a person from the next one is statistics and writing in a medical English language. Know your topic inside out. Pick topics that you can handle so that you can read about it, understand it, and come across as somewhat of an expert at it, or at least a part of the team of experts who are in it. The goal is to convince the interviewer that you are interested, able to multitask, can present and write, and are not a fake free rider, which is an extremely important message. Do not take favors. Always engage in activities where they teach you more than just do you a favor. Thank you.
So thank you very much, Dr. Pancholi. Dr. Pandya, go ahead, please.
Oh, I think you're muted, Dr. Katua. We can't, yeah.
Okay.
We didn't hear you the last
Dr.
minute
Pandya,
or
go
so.
ahead, please.
Yes. I think that our next speaker is Dr. Srikant Kesri. He's an internist and hospitalist working in Columbus, Ohio, and graduate of Windsor University, St. Kitts. And I would like to invite him regarding US versus overseas program, because I think this is big challenge. So many parents are not sure what to do. And I think Dr. Kesri can explain to us.
Yeah. So thank you, Dr. Pandya. And thanks for everybody for allowing me to talk and just kind of share some of my experience being a foreign medical graduate, particularly in the Caribbean. I'd say it's pretty exciting that there's nearly 300 people on this chat, this Zoom call. So it kind of tells me that there's a lot of young people that are out there that are have either decided that they're going to get into medicine or are strongly considering that. And that to me, that's super encouraging and exciting. As Dr. Pandya mentioned, it's a marathon. It can be a difficult journey, but one of those biggest decisions is going to be, where do I go for medical school? And so I'm going to talk about like the differences between going to a U.S. medical school versus a foreign medical school, the application process for both, key factors you want to think about, as well as like advantages and disadvantages of both. So, when applying to a medical school in the U.S. versus abroad, the U.S. Medical school application process, if you're looking at MD programs, is typically through AMCAS or your American Medical College of Application Service. And for the DO programs, it's through the ACOMAS, which is American Association of Colleges of Osteopathic Medicine. For the U.S. med schools, the requirements are pretty standard. I mean, you need your bachelor's degree, prerequisites like biology, chemistry, physics. The MCAT is going to be crucial, like we talked about. Clinical experience, so the shadowing, research, extracurricular activities, as well as letters of recommendation and your personal statement are all going to be crucial for your application process. The U.S. medical schools are extremely competitive, as we were discussing. Average GPA is about 3.7. Your MCAT scores 510 plus is what you're looking at, in order to be competitive for a position at a U.S. medical school. For foreign medical schools, so this includes Caribbeans, schools in Europe, and other international programs. They have many of the same requirements, but they can vary. So bachelor's degree is typically required. MCAT, sometimes yes, sometimes no, for different schools. But you'll still need those letters of recommendation and personal statements. And then, certainly clinical experience research will play a role as well, but probably not weighted as heavily as what you see with the U.S. med schools. So some key factors to think about when deciding between the two. U.S. medical schools are accredited, LCME for MD programs, and I think COCA for the DO programs. Foreign medical schools, if you're looking at foreign medical schools, the one thing you got to make sure about is that they are recognized by ECFMG. So that's their accreditation service. And the reason why that's important is because if you're graduating from a foreign medical school, in order to take a U.S. licensing exam and apply for residency, you need to be coming from an ECFMG certified school. The Caribbean schools, I mean, you want to also look at their match rates, what their graduates, how frequently are they matching into U.S. programs. They may not always publish that. Certainly I think if they're publishing it, it's probably more favorable, but their match rates are going to be lower than the U.S. medical schools. So if you're going down the pathway of the U.S. medical schools, you're more likely, once you get into a U.S. medical school, to match in a U.S. Residency program than you would be from a foreign medical school. Not impossible, but it is going to be more likely in the going down the U.S. medical school pathway. There are some cost and financial aid considerations and differences between the two pathways. So for U.S. medical schools, typically somewhere between $40,000 to $60,000 in tuition per year. Total can exceed $300,000 in terms of cost or debt that's accumulated from that. And then The foreign medical schools, the costs vary significantly in terms of tuition. You do have to take into account travel and lodging expenses may be different depending on where you're located, Caribbean, or if it's in Europe or whatnot. But oftentimes they're more affordable, but the catch here is that there's not always loans, like U.S. federal loans, available for foreign medical schools, as you may have with U.S. schools, or likely to have with U.S. schools. So in terms of the education quality and resources, I think a major thing with U.S. schools is that you have strong clinical rotations in major hospitals, academic settings. There's likely better research opportunities. And for foreign schools, I think this is probably where I had the most challenge was, in order to get a good clinical rotation, you really had to put some work in to try to find those rotations and kind of scrap to get into a good spot where you're going to, ensure that you're learning a lot on that clinical, getting that clinical experience. So that was what I found was like a big difference with some of my U.S. med school colleagues, is they were kind of set up with these existing rotations, much easier for them, really good learning experiences, where from a foreign medical school, and I think different program schools will have maybe better setups for clinical rotation. So that's something to really consider or look at when you're applying for foreign medical schools. Like, where do you have your clinical rotations? Which hospitals, and what is that experience like? And as I mentioned, residency match success, so it's going to be higher in U.S. schools than it is in Caribbean and foreign foreign graduates. So something, like the statistics I was able to find was like 94 to 96% for U.S. In terms of match rate for U.S. residency programs versus 50 to 60% for foreign medical school graduates. And honestly, you will have a little bit harder time matching in some competitive specialties as a foreign medical graduate, particularly like if you're looking at dermatology or orthopedic surgery, something like that. It's going to be much harder as an international graduate to match in those type of specialties. But there's positives and negatives to both, right? Like, so I think from a U.S. medical school perspective, I would say the biggest positive, I think, is you're going to have that higher acceptance into U.S. residency programs, so you're not stressing as much into matching into residency. Of course, not a given, but it's going to be a little bit easier once you're down that pathway. You do have more financial aid options, and then you also have that stronger clinical training and possibly even research opportunities. Disadvantages could be, it's extremely competitive. So that can be also very stressful. And then the tuition, can be very high. I think with foreign medical schools, advantages, just easier admissions. So you can, if you have a lower GPA or MCAT score, but you're really have that passion, desire to be a physician, it's not the end of the world not getting into a U.S. medical school. You have this other option. And then, affordability is possibly, like another advantage. And then, it is an interesting opportunity to go live abroad and, that experience and learning in a different country. And so you can embrace that and take advantage of that unique experience. And like I mentioned, some of the disadvantages were just that lower match rate, fewer resources. And then some states do have some restrictions on foreign medical graduates too. So I think that might be something you want to look at if you're thinking about coming back to your home state, to try to see what the restrictions may be on foreign medical graduates practicing in your home state. Sort of things here. So I think if in terms of who should consider each option, I mean, I think my suggestion would be first priority would be trying to match into a U.S. program or looking into that for sure. I think good candidates would be if you have the strong grades and MCAT scores. U.S. medical schools are probably going to be your best option. If you struggled with MCAT or GPAs, not quite where we want it to be, but you're committed, I think foreign medical schools is still an excellent option for you. So my kind of wrap up suggestions will be, think about this, plan ahead. Your GPA, MCAT, and experiences are all going to matter. And apply broadly. Look at U.S. schools, but if don't be afraid to apply to foreign medical schools if you feel like you may not go get it in the get acceptance into a U.S. program. And then think about it long term. It's not just about medical school, right? Like it's like once you get into residency, it's about getting that training and ultimately practicing medicine. And so it's a great alternate pathway to get to where we all want to go. So that's all I have. If anybody has questions for me, otherwise I'll hand it back to Dr. Kathula.
Thank you, Dr. Khatri. That was an excellent presentation. So if you have any questions, please send them to Dr. Shrikant Kesari because the general chat is disabled. But I think you can directly chat with Dr. Kesari if you have any questions. Would you please enable that direct chat with the panelists if you can, if it's not already done. So yeah, let's go to the next one, Dr. Pandya.
Yes, so now we have another important discussion about voluntary programs. And Dr. Satish Kathula is the president of the AAPI, and his vision is to provide very strong academic programs, initiative, and I'm thankful to him. As soon as we spoke and he agreed, he said that, if something with the pre-med and high school students or international medical graduates we want to do, AAPI is there for them, and we want to work with whatever we need to do. So Dr. Kathula, first of all, thank you so much. And I know you are going to speak about the voluntary programs.
Yes, thank you, Dr. Pandya, for that generous introduction. And AAPI is a platform which is for Indian doctors, not only for Indian doctors but also for Indian diaspora when it comes to healthcare, medical education. We want to make it a premium organization which can help the community in many ways. So this is one of them, and Dr. Pandya has agreed to do this again at convention in Cincinnati in July. So it is a very important program for pre-med students, and we have heard all the great speakers so far. So I just want to talk about voluntary services. What can you do? Because they also look at your application to see if you have done any voluntary work in your life. So what is voluntary? Not taking money. If you work as a research assistant or something, but you take money, that doesn't come under a voluntary thing, as you all know. So it's working for free, working in a setting where it is meaningful to people. It should be a service to people. So, for example, a lot of people work in the hospitals in the ER as the transit person, taking patients from test to test to their room. So they can also help with cafeteria, those things in hospitals in the ER. Some of people I know, they worked in the ER as volunteers and they got into medical schools with that experience. VA hospital is something, if you know anybody, they also accept volunteers. And clinics too, not only hospitals, but also clinics. If you work as a volunteer, as a patient ambassador or somebody who can accompany them to show where things are, I think that is considered a voluntary experience too. And you can work in nursing homes. Nursing homes also allow volunteers to work there. There are some free clinics, not only clinics attached to hospital, but there are some community free clinics in New York, Atlanta, There are some community members who run these clinics, and you can volunteer there too. And what else? Hospice organizations. If you have any hospice in your area, you can approach them to see whether they have any voluntary opportunity. And then there are some other things like, you can go to homeless shelters, work there, and animal shelters, all that, local libraries, or joining a nonprofit, in your area. There are a lot of Indian organizations or American organizations. You can work, with them, and make sure that you get a certificate after you finish your voluntary work. If you get a certificate that actually substantiates that you work there and what kind of services you have given to that particular organization or the place. So that's why it's very important to get a certificate after you're done with your work. And some people do hundreds of hours, which is very good. And they also actually put that, they track and they actually tabulate whatever hours they have done, and they can apply for this Congressional Medal Awards and things like that. So that's also very good. That looks very good on the application. And there are some things that are being done by AAPI, for example, stem cell drive. So this is a very important initiative we have undertaken this year. So leukemias and lymphomas sometimes don't respond to treatments such as chemotherapy or what is called CAR T cell therapy. In those cases, patients may need transplant from other people. Is the stem cell pool for South Asians and Indians is very small. So we don't have enough donors here for, God forbid, somebody is diagnosed with leukemia, lymphoma, not responding to treatments. So that's why we undertook this initiative to do stem cell drives. So it's a very simple thing. You sign up and you send us an email. You go to apiusa.org website. There we have stem cell drive details. And then you choose a date, time, and a place, and then gather people there. Or if there's already something set up like an India Club Day or something like that, any gathering of South Asians or Indians, you can go there and do the drive. So basically, if you let us know well in advance, we contact what is called NMDP, which is National Marrow Donor Program, and they can actually send the kits, number of kits you want. So that actually is a very good project that we have currently, and that is easy to do. And you get certificate of appreciation and volunteer hours from AAPI. AAPI is a big organization, as you probably know. And if it gives a certificate of appreciation, it carries some weight because it is the doctor's organization and you volunteered, you provided service. So that's why it is important to do that, at least consider participating in that. If somebody is doing, you can be a volunteer with them too. So that's another thing. And in India also, you have a lot of, initiatives or projects that one can go there and do. For example, Help Foundation. I think Dr. Sunitha Pulapalli joined. We can admit Dr. Pulapalli. She can talk about Help Foundation. Vijaya, can you allow Dr. Pulapalli to speak? And she's the one who has been doing this project for a number of years. And she raises some money and she puts her own money and does a lot of voluntary work. And even medical students or even pre-med high school students can go there and volunteer too. If you're going to visit your family, that's an opportunity. So also, AAPI is trying to create another, platform for the kids who are going from here, from high school or pre-med, students who are going to India. You want to create a streamlined project platform to for them to volunteer there too in hospitals or rural health centers and things like that. So that's not existing yet, but that's one of the plans. But Health Foundation is something that you can volunteer and get a feel. I mean, it's a service that you're doing. And on top of that, you're getting this certificate, which is actually a good thing. So, and definitely that's important for your application. So Dr. Sunitha Pulapalli, do you have a few words to say? So probably she's not in the meeting. Ms. Vijay, can you unmute her if you could, please? Okay, that's fine. You can visit her website. It's called helpfoundation.org, and you can find all the things that they're doing, and you can contact her through that website. So those are all the things that you can do. So that's what I have for you. Thank you. Any questions? We have a few minutes for questions. So we can unmute you if you raise your hand or something. Yeah, there is somebody, Srikanth Murray. So can we unmute Srikanth, please?
Thank you for this presentation. It's very helpful. The question is, my son is only in 7th grade, but he does a bunch of activities. But the question is, how many hours of volunteer work would actually make his application stand out for an undergrad application?
That's a good question. More than 200, I would say, and definitely the more is better. And also, people can register for that congressional medal. And if you do, a few hundred hours, like 400 plus or something, I don't remember exactly how many. But if you do that, then you get that medal. That medal actually substantiates the work one has done. So I think that's a good thing. But at least minimum 200 hours, I would say.
Thank you.
Hi, my name's Isha. Thank you so much for this presentation. It's been very informative. My question is that I've recently noticed that a lot of MD and DO schools have become pass-fail instead of graded by letters. So I was wondering, do you feel that a DO student from a letter-graded school versus a DO student from a pass-fail school would be more competitive for residencies? And if there's a student that was a DO student from a pass-fail school, is there a specific way that they should distinguish themselves if they're interested in a competitive residency? Thank you.
So Dr. Tumu, can you answer that question?
Sure. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. So the thing with the DO schools, I think what is important for the DO schools, so the DO schools have rapidly expanded in the last 20 years. So when I was in medical school, there was maybe 23 schools. I believe now there's 45 schools. So when you're choosing a DO school, like you want to pick the school that is very well established, has been older, and has good, connections with hospital systems. So I think the reputation of the school is more important than pass fail and letter grade. Because if you go to a more newer osteopathic school that doesn't have a good reputation, but you score really well, I don't think it holds as much weight. So I believe the kids these days, I believe that USMLE Step 2 is becoming more of a distinguisher on how well you do on that test to kind of distinguish you. But this whole new I guess pass fail for USMLE Step 1 and complex it's kind of difficult. I'm not very familiar with it. Maybe Dr. Tanya has some insight.
I think the pass-fail has raised the stakes for USMLE 2 because USMLE 1 is pass-fail. The scores, obviously, at the end of the day, either consciously or subconsciously do affect the decisions. So at least for now, when we have pass-fail for USMLE 1, the weightage of USMLE 2 and other factors such as your rotation, grades, etc., have become more important.
Hello, hi. My name is Mahesh. Thank you, panel, for taking your time, precious time to address the community, help the community. So I have two questions actually. The first one is there are very few colleges that offer a combined BSFD program, which is like a 6-year program. So my question is that better considering that it is it takes a lesser time to complete? versus the traditional 10-year program, like the 4-year undergrad plus, the other uh, 4 years of the MD program and so on. So that's first question: which one is better? Is it the combined BS-MD program? Is it good? The second question is, we are like my son is in a high school, 11th grade, and we are in the process of shortlisting the schools. Now, for majors like computer science and others, very easy to search for in US News, the top schools for computer science and so on. But there is no pre-med major. So my question is like, how do we identify good schools for pre-med? Like, what is the criteria we look for for shortlisting good pre-med schools? Thank you.
Okay. So it's a very important question, and it's not only for you, because I was just replying in the chat. There are several questions came, so I would explain to you in little details. So 6 years programs, there are a lot of programs are closing for the 6 years program. First of all, you think about that 4 years of BS and 4 years of MD. It takes, I would say, at least 8 years to complete to go into residency. 6 years, your children are losing their summer time because it starts in summer and it's a very intense program. I have seen so many students, they are getting burnout for 6 years program. So if I have a choice, I would prefer 8-year BSMD program or BSDO program, and that should be okay. And it's much better. 7 years is still okay, but then again, you are losing most of your summers. So basically, that's important thing, because children, they actually have to go with the intense program, very short period. So I would suggest strongly, if you have option for 8 years program, go with the 8 years program. It's a 4 years BS, 4 years MD. And sometimes students want to take the break, 1 year for the research or the 3rd year in the medical school. That is fine also. So that becomes 9 years, but at least they can have enough time. They enjoy their childhood. And important thing is they do not get burned out, because later on they are going to work more and more actually compared to what they were doing it now. And regarding the pre-med program for BSMD, BSMD programs are limited programs. So it's not like so many. So you have to go, let's say you select that New York has probably 8 programs, 7 programs. So you just need to go to individual program. There are a lot of information online also available. If you go to that DO's association, there is an association for the DO, and they will have a lot of information. Also, once you finalize, these are the 7-8 programs, please make sure you go to each site and try to call them also if you have interest, because these requirements are changing. So I would not rely on the information on just the website, but I would try to speak to them. And that's the reason sometimes the parents' role come in picture, just to get certain information like collateral about this program. So at least it can help the students, because they are already overwhelmed in the beginning of 12th grade.
I think I echo
Thank you.
his comments. With having 3 kids go to BSMD program and 2 of them doing it in 6 years, it does become a very stressful schedule, and it's very difficult for the children. Even though ours did okay, I wouldn't recommend it over and over again.
Yeah, I agree with that because they're compressing everything 8 years curriculum into 6 years, and it's really stressful for students. No vacation, and they can burn out. And I have seen some people leaving also. There are very few programs, and there are certain BSMB programs which have 4 years of undergrad and 4 years of med school, which is what my son has done. That they have at UC, University of Cincinnati in Ohio. So basically, you can choose any major. You can choose financial major, but you can still do medicine after that. But that's a 8-year program, and he thoroughly enjoyed that because he did have full 4 years of undergrad experience. before starting med school. So that's something I wanted to share. Thank you.
Thank you. I had a similar question, like in the direct program. I know a lot of colleges offered. So as a parent, I know that for a student it's very hard, but is there a financial difference when we choose a 6, 7, or 8 years program? 8 years is definitely a traditional program, BS plus DU or BS plus MS, MD, but 6 or 7 years. Can those programs bring any financial saving?
Sure. So I would just explain to you, my son, he's in the 8-year straight program. It's a Brooklyn College and Sunny Downstate. And we are from New York. Our college is just probably 35 minutes drive from here. He lives in the dorm. But important thing, it's not 6 years or 8 years, because most of the time, you don't count 8 years, you count 4 plus 4. So 4 years will be in the different college, and that is going to be the BS or BA. Now, my son, for example, I'm just giving you the example. So Brooklyn College and Sunny Downstate. Brooklyn College, 4 years. And because it's a community college, not community, the city college. So really, they don't have any tuition for 4 years. Now, the medical college has a tuition, but compared to all other, when we look at the different programs, they have a very reasonable tuition. It's a Sunny Downstate. So the question is I would not consider it as a 6 years or 8 years, but just look at that, what he's getting it in 4 years, what he's going, where he's going for medical school, and you can look at that. So financial, you look at 2 aspects. One is a college, one is a medical school. And not just that, it's not matter of financial part. When you make the decision 6 years versus 8 years, it's a very big decision. I know that one of my friends actually, kids went there, and then every single person told me that if I would have choice, I would have select 8-year program. Because few went to 6 years, few went to 7 years. And this is from there, not a single person came and told me I did appropriate things sending him for 6 years or 7 years. Because it requires a lot of dedication, and not just the dedication, but it requires a lot of hard work. You will see that. And you can reach out to some of the programs, and if you come to the, let's say, the AAPI or anybody, you can reach out to the local chapters, and they'll be happy. If you can ask them if you know somebody went for 6 years program or 7 years program. But after talking to at least minimum 50 students, not a single person told me that they would go back for 6 or 7 years. They always recommend for 8 years.
No, thank you. I mean, a lot of students, they end up doing early graduation anyway. Maybe 3 years graduation, and then maybe take a 1-year break and then join the medical school, right? So that's why I was thinking, if they can do it, then why not from the beginning, 7-year program?
So I would just tell you one thing. It comes with some sacrifice. And the sacrifice comes is most of the time they lose their childhood. Because summer, 7 years, they lose summer. Vacation time.
Got it.
And then they get burned out, because I know somebody at the ENT, and same thing happened. Now he's going to graduate this year, and I have been talking to him just almost 2 months ago, and he said he does not want to go for head and neck surgery, the fellowship after ENT. And I said that what happened? He said, no, I'm tired. I never saw my good vacation time or anything. He's an ENT. He's coming out as ENT. But the problem, so at the end, probably sometimes they have to push a little bit for themselves. They cannot. And it's a burnout. It's 13 to 15 years commitment.
Of course. Thank you.
Okay, no problem.
Just wanted to say thank you for your time for giving us this presentation. And I was wondering, my son is in 9th grade, and if there were any organizations that he could join to shadow a doctor, if you know any.
Okay. Is he in New York or Other state?
He's in PA.
Okay. So if you can ask any of the physician, probably your physician, because state sometimes requires certain age limit for even shadowing, because this is what the New York has. So definitely you can speak to them, but what they can do, best thing, because in New York, when we have a 9th year, 10th year, they come to the office, what they do, they take the temperature, they do height, weight, and nothing else, nothing medical part, but they have a interaction. And one thing we tell them, whatever they are doing, even minor things, when they go for interview, the interviewer, they love to ask this question. Okay, you were doing voluntary, and they know that you cannot see the patient. So the interviewer by that age. But then they will ask you, what did you notice something different? You were doing it. Can you just share the experience? And we actually tell students if we see the observation, and I would share one story with that. So one of the college, this high school students, he was in the 11th grade doing this height, weight, and they do just the pulse ox. And she noticed that the heart rate was like 120, 125 on that machine. It's a simple thing. You put it on the finger, you see that. So she told me, we took care of that immediately, EKG, everything. And then we realized that patient needed more intervention, more treatment. We sent this patient to the hospital. So every time we reminded her that when you go, an opportunity comes, just tell this case. And interviewer was so happy. And she got into the program. That was 7 years program, but she said that I want to go. We explained to her, but she got into the BSMD program, and interviewer was so happy. So this is very important. No matter what you do in the medical office, or even if you are doing small things, make sure you understand. And if somebody asks you to explain to you, you should be able to explain to them. The second example I'll give you, one person we had it from the pre-med was interviewing, and he actually did not have good MCAT score. And the interviewer asked that, can you just tell me the interesting case? And he was doing some shadowing with me. So I told him that whenever you start the conversation, just start with that, doctor sat next to me, like next to the patient. Like he was sitting down next to the patient for this important conversation about patient had some bad diagnosis. So as soon as he heard that the doctor was sitting next to the patient, he actually stopped there. He knew exactly that he was monitoring. These are the important things. When you go observation in the medical, it's a very, very critical skill. So please pay attention to that, and trust me, if you know that, it will be helpful somewhere in the future.
Who's the next one in line for questions? We have another 10 minutes or so to go with the question answer session. I think there is one, Aditi Sunil.
Yeah, hi. Thank you so much, first of all, for having this meeting. I have two questions. So I'm a current undergraduate student. I'm in my junior year. I'll be taking a gap year, so I'll be applying next cycle after my senior year. And the question I have with that is, post-grad, I'll be working as an EMT full-time, and I have a research position lined up also for that summer and moving forward, which is also around the time where I'll be starting my application cycle. Is there a way to send a letter of interest to the schools that I've applied to so they know what I've been up to, and those experiences that I've had post-grad can, be considered when they're taking a look at my application? And my second question is, last summer, I had a medical assistant internship, and it was for 2 months, but this was in India. And I wanted to know if, since this was more of like an international position that I held, would it hold less weightage compared to if I were to have done it in the States? Thank you.
So you want to take Dr. Pandya, or you want me to answer that question? The second one is easy. it's better to do something locally if possible. But any thing is fine. If you held a position internationally, that will help too. But as far as you do something meaningful, something related to medicine, something voluntary thing, that's always helpful. But yeah, locally preferably, so that they are familiar with the area, familiar with the projects and things like that. But if you can do that even outside of the United States, that holds too, but preferably in the States if you can. Any other comments?
Sure.
Pancho?
Yes. So the first question, even if you are applying for the residency, they gave you the option that you can upload your documents. Because when you are applying, it's early, because sometimes you have a rotation coming next month. You can always write it, and there is options also when you go for the application. You can write it. All you have to do, once it's done, make sure you get the recommendation letter, you follow up with the programs, or you upload it to the application process. So that's okay, you can write it, but just make sure when you write it, you have to follow up and you have to provide the documentation. Or during interview, they might ask you if you did not submit and you get the interview. But definitely they consider it, and they know that by the time you start application process, sometimes you might not have all the documents with you.
Okay, so next one.
Hi, I know we spoke about how step 2 is more heavily weighted with the rise of pass-fail schools. In a similar sense, would you say that a more competitive applicant is an MD student from a pass-fail school or a DO student from a letter-graded school if both step exams are about the same and both schools are relatively prestigious?
So Shantan, can you answer that question?
Sorry. So you said if both schools are prestigious, and it's you said an allopathic school with pass fail versus a DO school with letter grade.
Yeah, and step 2 scores are about the same.
It's a tough question. I think in that scenario, like if you just had those two variables to look at, I think the allopathic person may have a better chance, but it also matters like, is the allopathic program, is it more community based medical school versus like an academic institution? I think at that point it's extracurriculars, letters of recommendations, and kind of connections is what helps you.
I see. All right, thank you.
Hi, thank you everyone. The seminar is very informative. I have a quick question. I'm a parent of a senior and we're applying to many different schools, like I just heard the BSMD and the regular path. So we are about to decide the schools. So my daughter accepted into the Stony Brook versus NYU. So I want to know, like, is it really matter to go to a prestigious school in order to get into the med school, or it doesn't matter? Thank you.
Dr. Pandya.
Yes. So I would just explain to you, let's say if somebody is going for finance, somebody is going for become a lawyer, the prestigious schools matter, undergraduate. When you are going to the medical school, it's really does not make that much difference as far as you can get good with, you are good with your step 2 score, and it should be okay. Regarding the college, it does not matter as far as they maintain the GPA, they maintain their excellent academic criteria. It's okay, because it's a big difference with the NYU, because I would tell you, because I know both universities, they are in New York. NYU has a very high tuition fee compared to the Stony Brook, because the Stony Brook is a state university. We have so many doctor parents, and this is question for them also. We discussed this question. We just had this discussion actually not last 4 days ago on Wednesday, and same thing. So the doctor told me that I told my son, if you go to the Stony Brook, I'll deposit $20,000 in your account every year. So he said that, no, I would rather go to the state school and then let him decide, let him get good MCAT score and let him go to that. So in the medical, we understand it's important, but it does not actually negatively affect on your selection process, as far as you maintain your step 2 score and then you maintain your GPA and everything.
Right. But do they prepare, like if NYU prepare better to the student to go to the med school, or worse like a Stony Brook, or no?
Sure. So NYU has better resources. So definitely they help you to prepare well for the MCAT and everything. Not just that, NYU has so many residency and fellowship spots also. So definitely, one of my friends actually, 5 of the family members are at NYU, and 4 are in the fellowship. So they went to the NYU college, and then they actually did their residency and fellowship now. So definitely NYU has a better actually, when you look at that, let's put it money on the side, but when we look at that, definitely NYU has more weightage than Stony Brook.
I think one quick thing I would, add if I could, is that you go to a school where there is no grade deflation. I know so many kids who went to Duke or Princeton, and they deflate your GPA. And when you go to medical school, it doesn't matter. They don't adjust for that. So a 3.5 from Duke is a 3.5 from Stony Brook or a 3.5 from Penn State. Doesn't matter. But if the same student, if they were at Stony Brook, they would have gotten a 3.9, and it would be a much better GPA. So watch out for the schools that deflate your grades when you go to undergrad pre-med.
Great. Thank you so much.
This does happen. I've seen that many times with friends' children. They go to a very good school, Ivy League, and they get a GPA for 3.5, and they end up in small medical schools like community programs and things like that. So and the parents feel really bad that, oh, why did we really spend this much money for undergrad and things like that. So, but it also depends on the student, and they really focus wherever they are doing all these things that are necessary. That may make their application better, but definitely, as Dr. Pancholi said, if they go to big universities, their GPA is diluted because there are so many other smart kids. So yeah, okay. Who is next one in line with questions?
Hi. Yeah. I had a question about, like, I'm a non-traditional applicant, so I did my undergrad in computer science, and I was wondering how applications to med school would work for that, and if there were any specific things that, should be more focused on in my application, or if, like, med schools look at, like, how differently they look at applicants that come from, like, non-traditional backgrounds, or how much it mattered.
You want me to go to this?
Yeah, please.
So I would tell you, the program directors, what they look for that. The concept is similar, that when you go to get married and when you go and meet the girl's parents, what they look at that, whether this is actually the person is a capable or suitable candidate for my daughter. Exactly same thing, same principle applies to the program director or for the medical school. Like, this is the ideal person for our program and also the medical field. So they would go through certain things, and it's not just the simple criteria. They will go through your academic skills. They look at that also, how well-rounded you are. Then once they come to that criteria, next thing will come, did you excel in any of one factors or one things? As we discussed earlier, it's called spike method. They just want to see, okay, whatever you are doing, if you, for example, if I'm doing 10 different activities, but none of them lasted more than like 3 months, they are not interested to see, because then they will feel that 4 years of medical school, whether he is able to complete or not. What they look at, that you excel in one thing, you have a good MCAT score, and MCAT score is a very, very important, because that's something Number one factors to get into this. Second thing, they will go for your extracurricular activities. They will look at that, what you have done. And the third thing will come is the research. So they want to make sure you have a good research, as Samir Bhai mentioned to you, that it's better to have a well-balanced application. And once you have that well-balanced, your chances of getting into the residency is much higher. And even medical school is much higher. Same thing applies for medical school or residency.
Okay. I see. Are there any like activities or things that you'd recommend someone from a less traditional background do to help like showcase skills or like a commitment to medicine, perhaps?
That's what it's a research and volunteer activities, mostly whatever volunteer activities you do. For example, Satish Bhai mentioned that like AAPI stem cell. But important thing, whatever activities you do, it has to be consistent. There are a lot of community activities you can do that one. And anything with the humanitarian, that's fine. They'll look at that. They don't want that just the medical, but anything, they are okay with that. But you definitely, you can't just do for 2-3 months and then you can go for another activity. They want to see some persistency.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Okay, no problem.
Hi, this is Akila. Thank you so much to the API panel for the opportunity for the valuable information and the opportunity to speak. So I'm actually just recently finished my step 2 and I got a 270 on it, which is the 95th percentile, but I'm a foreign medical graduate. So I just wanted to know if there was any opportunities available to do any kind of research or shadowing or volunteer work along with API to help with my resume as I'm a foreign medical graduate now.
Yeah, there are a lot
Thank
of
you.
opportunities. I don't know whether you were there when I was mentioning research. Certainly, Dr. Panchali can talk about. He spoke
Mhm.
very nicely before you joined. But definitely, that's one thing that you can do. Observerships or externships, if you can get, that can definitely make your application better to get into residency. Plus, the voluntary thing in medical setting or even non-medical setting, as long as you're doing something humanitarian, like Dr. Pandya said, that is helpful. So, where did you do your medical school, Akila? Can I ask you?
So I actually grew up here. I did my high school in Naperville, and then I went to India and I did it in right by Vijayawada. There is a college called Ashram, Alluri Sitaramaraju Academy of Medical Sciences.
Okay.
So I went back there to do the medical school, and then I came here. I cleared step 1, step 2, which I got the 270 on, and then now I'm looking for opportunities to uh, help with my resume with the observerships and research.
Yeah, definitely. So the residency thing is totally different. So today we are doing it for high school and pre-med students. And Dr. Pancholi has been involved with academic programs, and he can also answer that question. Dr. Pancholi, please.
Sure. So I think, you have an awesome step 2 score. So I totally agree that you should decorate your application even more to get into a very high program, even as a foreign graduate. The key thing about research is invest in learning research skills. Don't invest in just anchoring on to one project with somebody or 2 projects with other people. In fact, that doesn't give you any durable advantage. But if my advice would be, if you have time, enroll in an online or face-to-face course at a university that teaches good research methodology. You will get into even a master's program because you already are MD from overseas. And those type of engagements will give you access to research and also make you independent in the future as a resident, as a fellow, as an attending. There'll be no stopping.
So we'll take one last question because it's 101 because Dr. Pancholi is on vacation. He's actually joining from California and he's from Pennsylvania. But anyway, so one last question we'll entertain and then we'll close the session. Thank you.
Hi. So the kids worked really hard to build up their resume to apply for schools, not just academics, but well-rounded application, personal and professional development. So do colleges, they also receive thousands of applications. Do they really give the minimum attention that each application needs?
Well, I talked to some admission committee members. They get thousands of applications, and their cutoff thing first is MCAT scores. That's the bottom line. So, if they have very good MCAT scores, that's when they look at that. But there are a lot of people who get, low 500s and things like that. They don't even get to those things. It's impossible to really look at these many applications. They have only a few committee members, and there are sometimes full-time faculty, or some of them are retired. But usually they don't look at everything. So what catches their eye first is MCAT scores. So after then, they look at all the things that the student has done, any research or voluntary opportunities, how that application stands out, how are the recommendation letters and those things. So that's what I have experience with. So Dr. Pancholi or Dr. Pandya, do you have anything else to say?
I think the scores are very important to get you through the initial filters. So, it may be SAT, ACT if you're applying to undergrad, or it could be MCAT if you're applying to medical school, or USMLE if you're applying for residency. Doesn't matter what stage. The scores is what everybody filters by. And then once you're filtered and you're in for review, then all your extracurriculars are the other features that they look at, because most people who got filtered have similar numbers. And so then you have to show some additional features in your application. So that's what I would say is the reality out there, and you conform your application.
I just want to add one thing, and I'll give you some real life examples. I spoke to several committee members, and then they give the instruction to their secretary to screen only application if the step to score is this or MCAT score is this number. So the secretary screen all the application because they do not have time to go through 5,000 or 10,000 applications. Once they screen it, then they will review the application. So it's important thing, the first entry is your score. The second thing, let's say we have one example, and the student has a 1600 score in the SAT, full score. Very good application, very good GPA. He actually did not get into the good programs. So the reason, when I was discussing with the parents were so upset, and they said that he did not get into the program, son is upset. I said that, but did you send an email to just the counselor or this admission? There is one person handles the admission. You will have the email. I said, did you send it? He said, no. I said, why don't you just send it? They started sending email, and suddenly they realized they got like almost 13 interviews. The reason, I will tell you, if somebody has a perfect score and everything is good, make sure you tell the programs you are interested, because they would feel that you will get somebody, you will get into somewhere else, but not this program. But you have to show some interest, send them the follow-up emails. Don't just assume that you didn't hear from them, you have to wait for them. You can always reach out to them. And that's a very, very important thing.
And also, when you're doing some research, even if the research project is not complete, you can mention that in your application that you are involved in so and so project, but you should be able to explain what you're doing when they ask you. These are all the things. Some people are, halfway through that project, but they may not, complete that, and still they feel shy to mention what they're doing. So Dr. Pandya mentioned before that we need to really, tell what you have done, even if it is a small thing. You may think it's a small thing, but it may really catch their eyes. So I think that's important. Even if it is an unfinished project, you can still mention that and then explain them, if they ask. Okay, so yeah, I think that finishes today's session. I know there are a lot of hands which are up, but to respect the panelists' time and other audience time, I think it's good to close this session, and this will be available on API website. And I thank Dr. Himanshu Pandya for putting this together. He has done a great job, and he's a very good leader. And you can reach out to him if you have any questions by email. If you could just put your email, Dr. Pandya, that'd be great in the chat. And Dr. Samir Pancholi, he's a very very busy person. He's a fellowship program director, and he has published numerous papers. He's on a family vacation in California. And thank you so much, Dr. Pancholi, for joining us. And you have been a great mentor for students and residents and fellows. So
Thank you.
and then Dr. Srikanth Kesari, who just left because he has small children to take care. And when I asked him, he immediately agreed to be part of this program. And Dr. Shantan Thumu, who's a very busy radiologist with two growing children, and he also joined as a panelist. And I thank him immensely. So, and thank you all, audience. I know you are all very enthusiastic, and medicine is a great profession, and I still encourage people to go in. It's a long road, but it's rewarding at the end. So, I mean, I encourage people to go into medicine because there is, it's a noble profession. You help people, you serve people directly, but you have to be patient. Like Dr. Pandya said, you have to be committed for the next 12 to 15 years of your life. But still, you can enjoy along the way. It's not like, your life is done. You can enjoy along the way, but maybe less than other people, but still you have some opportunity to enjoy life as well. So with that, I want to say thank you again to everybody, and you have a wonderful Sunday. Thank you.
Thank you, everyone.